It's your boy Luke here for another Jock Market preview. Our picks here on the channel have been absolutely fire of late. We're winning GPPs left and right for basketball. We've been very consistent on the Jock Market, and yesterday was no different. I'll go ahead and flash my lineup here on the screen. We ended up taking down second place in a small field GPP. Small dollar GPP. We weren't playing our usual volume. I've been focusing a little bit more on the Jock Market of late, but anytime we get a first or second place finish, that is always nice to go ahead and take down. And in terms of our Jock Market picks, yesterday was by far our best to date. We had three guys finish in the top 10, most notably Jason Tatum, who went from $14.20 all the way up to second place in $20 a share. RJ Barrett rocketed all the way up from $5.29 up to $18 a share, and Derek White of the Spurs went from $7.44 the whole way up to $11.50. So overall, we had hits across the board. We only had two guys yesterday that actually went for a negative in the Jock Market. I also added shares of Anthony Davis, who ended up being a significant gainer yesterday. So overall, we profited on both DFS and on the Jock Market and look to continue that for tonight. Our first IPO target is going to be Dennis Schrader of the Boston Celtics. This is going to be an interesting situation to keep an eye on just because we have injury news later on towards the night. Jaylen Brown still questionable for tonight's contest. We do not know if he's going to be active or not for the later end of this back-to-back type game. So for me, Dennis Schrader, just because he'll be a little bit undervalued, I'm going to be targeting him, hoping that he ends up being rolled out. If he does, not only will Schrader be starting, we'll likely be looking at 33 to 35 minutes. He's also somebody who's been relatively efficient with Brown off of the court. His usage rate goes from right around 20% up to closer to 30% with him off the court. He's also somebody who gets a significant bump in his assist production. So for me, as the pre-ranked number 99th player on the slate, I have him projected a lot closer to number 54, and that's even with Brown still at a 31.15 point projection. If Brown ends up getting rolled out, he would balloon up to right around a 36 or 37 point projection, making him one of the best values on the entire slate. Next up, we have Mo Bamba, and this Magic Kings game is secretly a fantasy goldmine. Both teams run with horrible efficiency on the defensive side of things, and the Kings in particular run with a lot of pace. So whether you're targeting the Kings, which I think will be a little bit chalky tonight, or the sneaky side, the Magic, I think you're going to be in a good situation. Mo comes in as the number 62 ranked player on the slate at nearly a 30-point projection. I have him closer to 36 points. So it's not like I have him popping completely off the board. The beauty with the Mo Bamba, though, is that he has true 50, even 60-point type outings. I mean, he has a really high ceiling. He plays with a lot of volatility. There's games where he's actually hitting three-pointers, and those are when he's an absolute fantasy goldmine. So for me, I have him at a target price of $2.80. I don't expect him to go for very much on this slate. It is definitely a little bit top heavy, but definitely could put up a performance to keep up with some of those top end options. Next up, we have Christian Wood. He's also got a good matchup against this Nets team. This Rockets-Nets game has the highest total of any game on the slate. It's making it a good target for fantasy purposes, regardless of the players actually on the court. But Christian Wood, we have somebody who's a relatively high usage player. He's going to give you assist production, rebound production, and of course, what he's been known for in his career, his defensive stats. He's going to give you plenty of steals and blocks. So overall, he gives you a relatively high floor because he's giving you those contributions across the floor. He's not somebody who also takes a ton of shots, which on the Jock Market is actually extremely advantageous. Like we've mentioned before here on the channel, guys that miss shots, you do get negative points for missed field goals on the Jock Market. It can really keep back somebody like Damian Lillard from hitting their ceiling at times. Next up, we have Fred VanVleet. He's right in that same range. Wood came in at number 24. VanVleet is there at number 23. You can see I have both of them near the top 15. Significantly projected higher than where the Jock Market has them. And even though it's only 3 raw points, the difference from a 37-point projection up there to the high 40s, that is a huge deal on this Jock Market. It's a little bit of a unique market just because we have 13 games. Typically we're looking closer to 7 or 8, or some of the smaller slates where we had 3 games like last night. But when we have 13 games in play, you're only going to get the top end options on the market. I mean, some of these guys, there's some starters tonight that won't even be on the Jock Market. That's the crazy thing. That's how many guys they've had to cut out of this field. And even with that, The mid-tier options, the guys right around 60 to 70, are only going to pay back $2 or $3. So we really have to make sure we're targeting the right guys. And a 3-point difference, going from a 37-point projection upwards to 40, that's the difference between a $5 payout and upwards of an $8 or even $9 payout. So it makes a huge deal here on the slate. Matchup for Van Vliet here is ideal. I mean, the Thunder are one of the worst teams in the NBA, and just because the Raptors haven't had the best start to the year, I do expect them to be relatively aggressive here. I don't expect them to pull their starters very early, so even though this definitely has some blowout chance, Van Vliet should still get at least 32 minutes tonight, if not more. If it's competitive, he'll get closer to 38 minutes tonight. So for me, at a 40.95 point projection is definitely somebody I'm targeting, particularly if I can get him for less than the $7 target price I have him set at right now. Finally, these last two options, these are two people that could take down the number one slot tonight. One of them I think has a very good chance to do so. He's going to have a little bit of extra motivation against a former team. But let's go ahead and start off with Cole Anthony, who had a very bad performance his last time out. He comes in as the pre-ranked number 17 player on the slate, right around a 40-point projection. I don't have him projected too much higher at just a 43.5-point projection, but that makes the difference between 7 slots on the jock market and takes him from near an $8 value upwards of $12 or even $14. That's how extremely volatile it is at the top of the board. So for somebody like Anthony, he gets a similar boost like a Mo Bamba against this Kings team, a team that runs with a relatively high pace that also is relatively inefficient on the defensive side. It's pretty much a fantasy goldmine, any side that you target in that game, and particularly Cole Anthony, who's a little bit underpriced after that bad performance. So I look for him to rebound in a big way. This Magic team has been a lot better this year than people have given him credit for, at least for what I expected to begin the year, and Cole Anthony has been a big reason why. So I like him there at an $8.50 target price. Because of all the stud options on the slate, perhaps he gets a little bit overlooked. We can get some good value there. Well, finally, at number 1, I do not expect this guy to be overlooked. That's why we have a very high target price on him, but I'm willing to pay it because of this revenge spot. It means James Harden against his old team, the Rockets. He comes in as the pre-ranked number 4 player at a 48.5 point projection. I have him well over a 51 point projection. He's somebody who's going to chuck up a lot of shots tonight. I expect him to be the main facilitator for this team, particularly on a back-to-back where Kevin Durant really put up a ton of shots. So James Harden, even though he took a little bit of a secondary seat last night, should be able to assert himself, particularly with the kind of motivation I expect him to have. The matchup against the Rockets on paper is also one of the best matchups on the slate. It has the highest over-under of any game. The Rockets are also one of the worst teams against guards in the entire NBA. They let up a ton of three-pointer attempts, and James Harden is not going to be afraid to take those attempts, particularly against his old team. So I have him at a $14.20 target price. I'd probably be willing to spend up to $14.50. Once we start getting close to like $15, $15.50, he might not be worth it at that point. We'll have to see tonight. But it is somebody that if we can get him for the right price, could have very big returns tonight. That's all I've got for the IPO targets tonight. Go ahead and let me know down in the comments who your favorite target is for the IPO bidding. Whether it's one of the studs up top, maybe it's a value play that you guys really like. Go ahead and let me know down in the comments. I always love to hear from you guys. We're going to have even more Jock Market content coming throughout the week. As of right now, I have my first live stream scheduled for Friday. I'm expecting to go live right around 6:15 p.m. Eastern time, talking about some of the plays on the slate that I like, and of course, giving you guys my live reaction to some of the bids that I'm placing. If you have any questions, anybody that you want my opinion on during that process, or just anybody that you want me to take a look at, maybe they have a good price tag or something like that, go ahead and let me know. It'll be our first live stream, so we'll kind of be figuring it out on the fly, but I think it'll be extremely valuable for you guys, just to give you guys an idea of my bidding process, some of the thoughts that I'm going through when taking a look at whether a player is going to be a value or not, and of course how I'm adjusting things for injury news, because that's a huge part of the jock market. At this point of the day, there's a lot of injury news that we aren't certain about. So when some of that starts to come in, when we start to get some of that reaction from beat reporters, reacting accordingly is a big deal. So we'll be doing that on Friday for the first time. Again, guys, let me know your favorite target down in the comments. Make sure to like and subscribe if you guys haven't already, and good luck with all of your bidding tonight.